We are now live on both platforms. I think I can probably turn myself down on TikTok. Testing. Oh. Yeah. Seems to work fine. Hello, everybody. We are back doing some debates. If you want to call in, there's a call-in number. I'm doing this both on YouTube and TikTok. I have two chats, two streams running at the same time. What a unique and fun situation, huh, folks? Guys, if you think Donald Trump is going to help you, if you disagree with my prompt, that's okay with me. Ugh. Feel free to request to be a guest, and of course feel free to call in. Let me open the multi-guest thing just so I can pull people in. There's also the call-in number for YouTube chat. Do whatever you're most comfortable with, I suppose. Gotta make this smaller. I have so much windows pulled up on my screen. Yeah, I have a guest request there. Guys, if you think Donald Trump is looking out for you, if you think Donald Trump is going to help the working class, I humbly disagree. And I encourage you to come onto my stream and have a debate, have a conversation. Let's debate our ideas. Let's put our ideas up to the test in the marketplace of ideas, aka my stream. Now that applies to both the folks in TikTok chat and on YouTube chat. For YouTube chat, you can call the number right above my head, 305-209-55, what's that, 60? Oh, hold up, I didn't open the Google Voice. Let me do that. Rodri says, cry me a river, Trump is the best. I disagree, my friend. But, you know, you have the right to feel however you want. You can send in a guest request. You can call in the number. It's open now. If you think more tax cuts for the rich is going to be good for you, that's your prerogative, I guess, but I don't think that's going to be the case. Simply put. Simply put. Keto says, I told you, bro, not to vote? I don't know who you are. You speak like we know each other. Edu in the YouTube chat says hello. Hello, Edu. Hope you're doing well. Folks, if you think Donald Trump is looking out for the working class, I mean, I would like to know how exactly. You know, if you can give me the facts, give me the information, maybe you can change my mind. That would be nice. More tax cuts for the rich. More war. Ain't gonna be good. Edu asked in YouTube chat, why will Trump hurt me? Because Donald Trump has a tax plan which will raise taxes on 95% of the American people. He has a tariff plan which of course the consumers are gonna feel the brunt of. It's not gonna be great. It's not gonna be great. Keto says, I didn't vote, but I commend you for not changing your opinion. Oh, well, thank you. Appreciated. Glenn says tax cuts are good for everyone. We are grossly overtaxed. Glenn, I feel like you're not part of the top 1%, or maybe not even part of the top 5%, so your taxes are going to go up. Phyllis says not raising taxes. Based on what? I mean, call into the guest request. I'd like to talk about it. Mills says cope and seethe in YouTube chat. Crystal says he is pro-life. Dodo VR says cap. Guys, tell me where I'm wrong. I would like to know. Give me the information I'm missing. Show me the Trump tax plan, and we can go over it. We can talk about how his first tax plan, 83% of the benefits went to the top 1%. It increased the deficit dramatically. He increased the deficit more than any president in history, right? You guys are fiscal conservatives. Y'all love fiscal responsibility. We can have a conversation about fiscal responsibility. And I would say if that's your priority, well, Donald Trump shouldn't be your guy if that's the case. Glenn says, dude, the never stopped going up. Dude, the never stopped going up under everyone. I'm assuming you're talking about the deficit, and the deficit went down under Barack Obama. We had a surplus under Bill Clinton, and the deficit went down from Donald Trump's peaks down when Joe Biden was elected. So, yeah. Democrats tend to actually lower the deficit. Republicans expand the deficit for things like war with Iraq and Afghanistan, for tax cuts for the rich, like with Bush and with Trump. It just so happens to be the case. You know, if that's things you guys don't like, then don't vote for Republicans. But if you guys like those things, I understand. That's probably why you vote for Republicans. Right? I'm curious for the Republicans in both chats, YouTube and TikTok, is one of the reasons you support the Republican Party because they increase the deficit. I notice how no Republican, especially you guys in YouTube chat, or excuse me, TikTok chat, are bringing up actual arguments. Glenn says taxes go up every year. It all needs to stop. Actually, well, the burden of taxes have gone up under regular middle-class people. There have been dramatic tax cuts for the rich over the years, including under Donald Trump, and he wants to do more, including under Bush. Speed says, who do we owe? Oh, well, I don't know what you're saying. Who do we owe? Oh, who? Basscatcher says, bull. Pat says, why did most of you vote for Trump? I'm assuming you're talking to the chatters, or you're talking about most Americans. Because he got the smallest majority anybody's ever gotten in the House, and frankly, he really didn't win by much when it came to his actual election. Prince Omar says, you should leave, dude. No. Troy says, naive and easily tricked. You talking about me? I don't agree with that. Rag says, sorry, I don't have Google Play cards. I see. Gavin says, you don't know what you're talking about. Gavin, feel free to correct me. I would love to be corrected. Change my mind. Make me a Donald Trump supporter. You know, if I could be proven wrong, I'd love to see where I'm wrong. Crystal says, also, are you American? I'm curious what you think, Crystal. Troy says, no, the Trump supporters. Yes, the Trump supporters are naive and easily tricked. AI MAGA has requested to join. AI MAGA, you're on. What's on your mind, buddy?
Man, Trump's presidency will hurt me?
Yes.
You think so?
Yeah. I'm curious, what tax bracket are you? I'm assuming you're not part of the top 1%. You don't need to give me your upper middle class. I'm assuming you're probably not part of the top 1% or the top 5%. If you're not part of those percentages, you will see your taxes raised. This new tax plan will raise tax on 95% of the people. So that's not good for you. Tariffs, that's what analysis into his plan said. And tariffs as well will also increase cost because tariffs are inflationary. Specifically across the board tariffs. I'm not talking about targeted specific tariffs, which I'm not against, I'm actually for, but across the board tariffs will make things more expensive.
Right. I think your predictions are off base.
Based on what?
Based on the thousands of predictions that people have made throughout history, most of them are off base. Like 99% of them are off.
Yeah, so when someone analyzes his plan,
so
you just don't believe it. You just don't believe research. You don't believe anything. So I'm curious, when you make a decision in your own personal life, when you go swimming, I don't know, go to the pool or go to the beach, do you turn on the Weather Channel? Do you check Google what the weather's going to be?
No, usually no. I just look out the window.
Okay, so you look out the window, and you can see the clouds coming, and you can assume that there's probably going to be rain later. You're analyzing your situation, you're making a prediction, and probably if you can assume, yeah, so you don't have like, you said that in order to believe anybody, you need like God literally telling you. God's not telling you. God's not being like, hey, AI MAGA, it's going to rain today. You are going outside and looking outside and seeing what the weather's looking like, and based on your analysis making a decision.
Yeah.
So people look at Donald Trump's tax plan, see the details, and can make an analysis based on what they see. And we can look at his previous administration, where we saw massive deficit increases, a tax cut for the rich, 83% went to the top 1%. We saw more war. We saw more bombings. Those aren't predictions. Those are just his reality. That's just the reality.
It's going to be Armageddon, yeah. So basically, according to the experts, it's going to be Armageddon. Financial.
Well, do you not agree that Donald Trump wasn't a war hawk during his presidency? You think he was a dove?
I think he was for less war and not more. Not that he was, totally warless, but
Yeah.
I believe, from my analysis, that he was for less war.
So when he increases drone strikes 435%, that's wanting less war?
And yeah, he did the Abraham Accords, which was kind of a move towards peace too. So
Tell me what the Abraham Accords did.
you got to do strikes.
Tell me what the Abraham Accords did.
It was a peace treaty, I think. I mean, Saudi
It was a
Arabia,
peace treaty.
the king or prince of the king of, I remember the king of Saudi Arabia or the prince or something was calling Netanyahu. I mean, that was historical. That had never happened before.
So Saudi Arabia is not part of the signatories.
I'm not saying I know everything about it. I'm saying that he made a move towards peace.
So I'm curious, were any of the countries involved in the Abraham Accords at war with each other in like the last 5-10 years?
I would assume so.
Do you know any of the countries that were involved besides Israel?
Well, I thought Saudi Arabia was, but you corrected me on that. So.
Yeah, so Bahrain, the UAE, Morocco, and Sudan were involved, and none of those countries were at war with Israel in the last 5-10 years. I don't know about ever.
Have they supported terrorism?
And no, they haven't, as far as I understand. I understand that some leaders of Hamas live in Dubai, which is the UAE. I understand that some leaders of Hamas live in the Dubai area, the UAE, and they've continued to, even after the Abraham Accords. That didn't really change anything. So none of these countries were at war with Israel. None of these countries border Israel. Yeah, none of these countries are border states with Israel. They're not at war with Israel. You're saying there was somehow magically peace in the Middle East because of the Abraham Accords.
No, I'm saying it was a move towards peace. That's not what I said.
Yeah, a move towards peace with countries that these countries were already at peace with. Okay. That's like America and Canada signing a peace agreement in 2024 when we haven't been at war.
Okay, well, maybe it's more like a solid agreement between countries that they are actually signing their names to say, you know what, this has gone on long enough. And
what has gone on long enough?
Sponsors of terrorism.
What is this?
Terrorism and against Israel.
So.
I just said this terrorism that's against Israel. It's an actual agreement that Middle Eastern countries that are mostly Muslim.
Yeah.
I mean, it's called setting, and you don't understand setting an example, do you? You don't understand that, right? That concept is foreign to you. Setting an example for other countries to follow.
So what? Should America sign a peace treaty with Canada and like the EU to set an example to other countries that you can sign peace treaties or normalization agreements with countries that you're already at peace with, and you're not at war with, and so on and so forth?
Okay.
You're claiming that peace was made because of it.
Middle Eastern countries to follow.
Yeah. So these so you're telling me state. You're telling me state A and state B. Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna put someone on hold real quick. Hold on, buddy. I'm gonna put you on hold for now. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Right. So again, you're telling me state A and state B sign an agreement. You're saying that brings peace because they're leading by example, even though they've already been at peace with each other, and it really doesn't do much. At most, maybe it leads to trade deals.
Maybe it leads to some good things, For
yeah.
Israel
Okay.
and
So
Middle Eastern countries normalizing trade, normalizing these
again, these are like Bahrain and the UAE. Morocco is like a million miles away. The UAE and Bahrain are super far away, and it doesn't. Abraham Accords did not do anything to help the Palestinian people or do anything like that. Okay, sure. So, no, I mean you don't have to get triggered right away. You don't have to get triggered right away. You just made an argument, and your argument was a little silly. So, okay. Okay. I get it. I understand you like Donald Trump. Donald Trump, but it's pretty clear that you're getting upset. You're getting upset. I understand that you're upset. If you want to have a conversation, we can have a conversation, but you're just crying right now on camera. Okay?
No, I'm agreeing with you on camera.
No, don't play stupid. All right, I think you had enough time. All right, have a good day.
Yeah, fuck you.
I'm not mad, guys. I'm not mad. All right, person called in. I'll let you talk. 970 area code. What's on your mind?
Hi, how are you doing? I was watching your show, and you're absolutely right. But with you talking to the Trump supporters, the way you got to tell them facts slowly, because clearly the whole country was red, and I was shocked by it. I mean, completely. I was, and with the last gentleman that you were talking to, he, the way everybody says it is that they're uneducated, and we've got to show them that the tariffs are going to hurt. They're going to hurt dramatically. China announced today that they're going to put 25% tariffs. It hasn't affected the stock market yet, but it will. Yeah, it will. And I know that you're trying to get Trump callers to call in, so I just I'm with you 100%. It's just they're not going to wake up until it affects their family. The deportations, until it affects their families, until it affects what he's going to do on his first 100 days, are going to be dramatically bad. Yeah.
Hello, sorry, I put someone on hold real quick. But yeah.
Yes, he's, until it affects their family, they're really not going to change. It's genuinely not.
Yeah, I mean, this is what I'll say. I've been doing some of these streams, and I mainly do these for fun and hopefully to inspire some sort of class consciousness with these Trump supporters. But the last guy, you could tell he wasn't interested in any facts. You list a fact, and he's like, "Oh, what are those facts from the experts or something?" And then I asked him how he makes his predictions. Like, how do you know when you want to go outside to swim? You think you ever open the Weather Channel? You ever open the weather app? Oh, I look outside. Okay. Well, do you make a prediction based on that? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, well, that's a prediction. That's not God whispering in your ear like you were saying the experts need. You're being a little silly.
I have not seen this kind. And you're talking to a Republican. I know what you want to call a deep state Republican. I was in the oil. I still am in the oil and gas industry for 18 years.
Yeah.
And I truthfully, for him to call out assassination attempts on Liz Cheney, yes, okay, she's whatever. I don't give a crap. But so many other bad things, let alone January 6th, sexual assault. Now, the Trump supporters are going to say that that's all fake news, because when I grew up, I never heard this once from fake news. I used to watch Fox News. I actually used to watch Fox News until they've gone completely off the rails. It's kind of like the Democrats if they go off the rails.
Okay, so since I mainly want to bring on people to debate, we're going to finish this off pretty soon, but I think we're mostly in agreement, and when it comes to listening to the other side, I hear the Republicans, and I try to understand their arguments, and I tell them, hey, change my mind. I'm willing to get my mind changed. Usually they can't change my mind because they make pretty bad arguments, but they will probably, the people in the MAGA cult are going to be hard to move. Like, their entire family could be hurt by the presidency, but they won't care. But obviously the people that voted for Donald Trump this time around because they were not satisfied with the situation, they were like, let me try the person in the other party, essentially. With cheaper eggs.
Exactly.
And they are the people that I'm more focused on moving because, they voted because of their wallet, and their wallet's going to hurt soon, and they'll be back on board, I think, in not MAGA.
I genuinely hope so, but we're all gonna feel it. Me and you.
We will all feel it.
Else. It doesn't matter if they voted red or blue or whatever the hell it was.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter because we're all gonna feel it. And
100%.
That's one of the things that they should have just thought it through. I didn't like Kamala Harris, but damn sure I voted for her.
Same here.
Call me like 18 years of being a fucking Republican.
Nice to be able to fight by your side, I can tell you that. But,
well, thank you, sir.
Any final points, though?
Say what?
You got anything you want to finish off with before we move on to the next caller?
No, thank you for what you're doing, and just talk to them slowly. That's always slowly. They're brainwashed. They
are. It's a slow process to get them out, but it's a process that needs to happen.
Yes, until it affects them, until their family's ripped out of their arms, or something happens, they're not going to believe it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time, sir. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes. 214 area code, you're on. What's on your mind? 214 area code, you're on. 214 area code. I'll give you a few moments. A few seconds. 1,
Hello.
2. Oh, hello? You there?
How you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. What's on your mind?
Oh, so I was just wondering, what do you think about the Ukraine situation, and which president do you think would be the best for the people of Ukraine?
I think Kamala would have been better, but Donald Trump's gonna be the president. It's a bit of a mixed bag. What's gonna happen, right? He does have a lot of people in his cabinet that are more of the people that would support Ukraine. Of course, many people in his base are the people that genuinely don't like Ukraine and genuinely like Putin. But, we'll see when he's in there. I've heard that he wants to do a deal, which is essentially just let Russia keep the land that it currently has. But I wonder if in the details of that deal, does that imply that Ukraine gets to keep the land that it's occupying inside Russia? It's a relatively small piece of land compared to the front line, but nonetheless, they have it. Something I get the sense Donald Trump wouldn't want them to, but we'll see how the situation develops.
Wait, so I'm just wondering, why do you think the United States really wants to have control of Ukraine?
I don't know if they want to have control or not. I know Russia wants to have control for sure, and I know in Ukraine's interest they want to be not invaded. Obviously.
Well, we're trying to get Ukraine in NATO, right?
Potentially.
Well, I think
if they want to join NATO, they should be able to join NATO.
Yeah, we want Ukraine, right? Even if it causes a war.
Well, it seems like you're framing it in a way that's like, this is a war caused by American aggression. At the end of the day, it was a Russian invasion, so I put it on Russia, the moral responsibility.
I think we also hold a moral responsibility.
But the Americans weren't governing the Russians. The Russians, particularly Putin and his friends in government, they should not do invasions. That's a pretty simple position to hold, don't you think?
I guess, but we knew it was going to happen.
And what are the arguments that countries use when they try to defend the idea of joining NATO? Well, there's potential threats. Russia's a threat. What if they invade us? Russia has been the single best advocate for NATO there's ever been, frankly. because they chose to invade, and yeah, they chose to invade. Yeah, they've been the single best advocate for NATO because they've proven the main argument that why would a country want to join NATO? Hold on one second, I'm going to put someone on hold. I'll come to you next, but I'm going to put you on hold for now. Right, so to explain my argument, right? So the main argument that people make in favor of a country joining NATO is essentially there's the big threat of Russia. What if Russia invades, etc., etc., etc. That's why we need to join NATO to add that deterrence. And a lot of people had the position of that's just not going to happen. That's not going to happen. That would be dumb. It's not going to happen. But then Russia in 2022 invaded Ukraine and proved to the world that they are still an imperialist power. They are still interested in wars of conquest, and they will invade people even at the sacrifice of their own economy, even at the sacrifice of the lives of their people, the conscripts, etc., etc., etc. So, yeah, they've single-handedly justified the existence of NATO in the 21st century.
Do you feel as if Ukraine joining NATO is a threat to Russia?
No. Is the implication that Ukraine and NATO is going to launch an offensive strike into Russia? Let's say if the war didn't occur, and Ukraine just joined NATO. Oh, this is a big plan of NATO to do an invasion of a nuclear-armed Russia. They'll go straight to Moscow. They're coming for Putin, etc., etc., etc.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the Russians think that it's a threat.
I mean, they can think whatever they want, right? Like, many Americans believe the Bush lie that Saddam had weapons of mass destruction. That doesn't justify Iraq, right?
Well, what if Russia came in and let's say they, hypothetically, was able to
Canada joins BRICS or something?
Something like that.
So if Canada joined BRICS and if Canada joined BRICS, I don't see a guarantee, obviously we're talking in the world of hypotheticals, that America would invade Canada, and if we then decided to invade Canada, we would be the monsters in the situation. If the entire world then proceeded to send a bunch of weapons to Canada to then fight off Americans, then the Canadians would be justified in that situation, because sovereign states can join whatever international organizations they want. That's why BRICS exist, and BRICS is in our hemisphere as it stands. Currently, Brazil's part of BRICS. They're the B in BRICS.
Yeah, I understand that. I guess my opinion is that I just don't feel that we should be obligated to really be meddling in that situation. I think it's kind of like the United States, like a founding principle is to kind of stay away from that as much as possible, even though I know we don't.
I think we can find a lot of agreement in different sort of conflicts. Like, for example, the real reason I support our efforts in Ukraine is because, in my view, it's a defensive war, and defensive wars are the only moral kind of conflict. But when it comes to, say, our support for the Saudis' war in Yemen, or our support for the Israelis' war in Gaza, yeah, America, we should Yankee go home, America stay out. You get what I'm saying? So I think we would agree on those conflicts.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of just, I don't know. I just don't feel like, I feel like we have a lot of issues in this country, and I feel like, spending a lot of our resources doing something like that, it's like, I feel like we're doing it because we know it will directly benefit us. You know what I'm saying? Like, the only reason we're actually sending billions of dollars over to this country is because we think it's such a strategic tactic to do so. I mean, that's my theory, I guess.
I think there's a mix of interest. I think there is probably a good portion of people in government that might share, like, what you were saying, that, like, there's strategic interest in supporting Ukraine, but there's, I'm sure, a good amount of people in the public and in government that are just like, well, it's a defensive war. They're being invaded. Now, those same people that hold that position that I hold are likely also the same people that vote to stop selling weapons to Israel, which I think proves their sort of ideological consistency. I'm mainly talking about the progressives in Congress. Yeah, I think we kind of got to the crux of our disagreement, though, and where we agree. So there's someone on hold, so I guess any final things you want to ask?
No, that's it. I kind of just wanted to have a little conversation about that, maybe with someone on the opposite side of the aisle. Just
all right.
How you're thinking about it.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
Bye-bye.
908 area code. What's on your mind?
Hey, I'm saying that Trump's not going to hurt, Trump's presidency is not going to hurt me because I'm a software developer.
Okay.
And last time around during his presidency, he stopped the HB1 visa abuse and led to one of the greatest bull runs of software developer salaries from 2017 to 2019.
Yeah.
And I'm confident, like, this time that, you know, he's going to take on the offshoring to software development and, you know, extend his tariffs to that.
Well, you know, I don't know off the top of my head how you can put tariffs on something like software development, because that just sounds like labor from individuals, and software development feels like something you could get from across the world over the internet. But in general, when I say Donald Trump's presidency will hurt you, not just you, but me and everybody in the chats, Donald Trump's generally going to hurt the middle class. We can see that based on his record, and we can see that based on his promises. Hold on, I'm going to put someone on hold real quick. Hello, I'm going to pull you in after this next caller. So what I'm specifically talking about is, even if we just look at his tax plan that he's proposed, there was analysis that looked into it, and they found that 95% of earners would see their taxes go up, some thousands of dollars. I'm assuming most software developers are not part of that top 5%. Hold on, the person is calling again. One moment. I'm going to put you on hold for now and pull you in after the current caller. Right. So like I was saying, I'm assuming most software developers are not part of the top 5%. They are the workers at the companies, not oftentimes the CEOs, so they're going to see their taxes go up. I'm assuming they also need computers. Let's say their computer gets old and they need an update or upgrade. If there's tariffs on products like technology, like computers, even the parts, then buying a computer is going to be a hell of a lot more expensive. In general, food might go up. If he does his mass deportation and deports the 40% of workers in agriculture that are undocumented workers, that's going to make food production go down in a time where demand goes up, and that's not going to be good for the wallet. So no matter your job, I think his presidency will hurt you.
I mean, there's a lot of assumptions there, but I mean, in general, software developers have had it like really terrible under this current presidency. Like, we experienced like mass layoffs throughout the entire industry, and our jobs have just been like awful.
Well, I don't know how much that was Joe Biden's effect there.
I mean, he didn't do anything about it, and also he didn't keep up the stopping of the HB1 visa abuse like Trump did. Like, Trump really cut down on the HB1 visa abuse, which companies use to import cheap labor from other countries. And I mean, these past like 4 years have just been like the absolute worst software developers since like the Great Recession. Like, it's been like basically just a bloodbath of jobs. I mean, people have had to kind of accept jobs that are like half what their salaries would be. Some people like really can't staff like 3 years are still get new grads are absolutely screwed, and like they are facing high unemployment rates, underemployment. And like,
yeah, I mean, some of that seems like it's gonna probably continue under Donald Trump based on your descriptions, because some of that just seems like an issue with the market. I don't think there was a specific policy that Joe Biden did that caused, like, say, unemployment within the software development market. I mean, overall, unemployment has gone down. In other sectors that are not software development, there's been a massive increase, 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. And in general, a lot of things are being brought to America. The trade deficit went down under Biden. The trade deficit went up under Trump. And that will probably continue into the second term.
I mean, well, I would say that, like, it really wasn't market conditions. It was more so that companies are, you know, when they realize that they're just doing massive, like, the improvement of, like, remote work, they're doing massive offshoring. And I feel like, you know, obviously...
Wait, what about remote work, you said? The improvement?
Can I finish?
No, I just asked you I just asked a clarifying question there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so wait, what did you say about remote work?
No, I was saying that, like, I think the massive offshoring is, like, a result of the times. I don't blame Biden for that, but I think it's like, really important that you have a president who, like, really puts American citizens first and is proactive about that, you know, both on immigration policy and just overall economic policy. And I think, you know, you're saying you can't tariff software development because it's just, like, around the world, but you can, like, kind of tariff software products, which are, like, a result of that. You can kind of tariff that. So or you can also tariff like offshore labor. You can say like how much labor, because companies have their tax returns.
1 second, one moment. I'm gonna put the person that's calling on hold real quick. I'm gonna put you on hold and put you in the next after this caller. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying. But again, tariffs in general are gonna make things beyond, just software development, I guess more work available in software development, more available. I don't even know if that's going to exactly be the case. I do know computers are going to be more expensive, products are going to be more expensive, and in general that hurts everybody from your manufacturing worker to your software developer. But there is a person that has been on hold for a bit, and they've been exiting and calling back, and I don't want them to do it again. We've been at this for like 10 minutes or so based on this call thing here. So any final points you want to talk about?
No, I would just like to finish off with saying that I think that Donald Trump has done a better job of protecting software developers, than Joe Biden or any Democrat.
With the what numbers? With the what numbers?
Huh?
With the what numbers?
No, he has been better at protecting software developers than any Democrat or even any Republican, and that's just
Well, I mean, most of your conversation, you're talking about offshoring and onshoring. Offshoring continued under Donald Trump. I don't know how, in the specifics of software development, but I do know just broadly offshoring continued, and onshoring has been occurring for the first time in our lives under Joe Biden, under Democrats. So the trade deficit, again, went up under Trump, and overall, there's not much good economic indicators. Maybe your personal experiences are different, but I can't speak for your anecdotes. I can only speak for the stats that matter, but thank you for your time, brother. I'll bring on the next person. Hello, you're on. What's on your mind?
Oh, so you were talking about things being worse under Trump, but I got a little different concept and all that. I'm financially fine how I am. I was fine under Trump for 4 years. I just have policy issues that I got a problem with. I find abortion nasty, so I have to vote for one party over the other. I collect NFA items, so I don't want any, Second Amendment infringements, and that's where it comes down to. That's it.
Well, my understanding is that there was some Second Amendment regulations done under Donald Trump, like banning bump stocks, that a lot of Second Amendment folks weren't happy with.
And stuff, and I wasn't happy about that. But on the bigger picture, you're more likely to get more regulation with one side than the other, and that's just how it's always been,
Well, I mean, I don't know every single gun regulation off the top of my head. I do know some of the bigger regulations, though, happened under Republicans. I'm not saying that Republicans are going to be the party that regulates firearms, but I know it was Reagan that regulated the machine guns. I know it was Trump that regulated the bump stocks, and that was done under a Republican administration. So, I mean, in general, I don't know. Again, you said you're financially fine. I can't speak for your economic situation specifically, but I can say for you, if you don't like expensive things in the grocery store, I mean, things are more likely to get expensive if there's a bunch of tariffs on every product coming into the country. People talked about the price of eggs. People talked about the price. Yeah, but I mean that's a convenient. I understand that. No, I understand that's a convenient narrative. But Donald Trump has been talking in two different ways about tariffs. Well, he particularly has been talking about tariffs as essentially a way to make revenue. He's floated the idea of removing income tax and using the money from tariffs to get revenue. He's talked about a time in history where tariffs were the main source of revenue for the government, and he says we were so rich back then, right? Now, there are some Republicans that agree with him. There are people that defend the merit of tariffs, but then there's people that say, like what you said, tariffs are a negotiating tool, tariffs are temporary, this, that, or the other. So there's not exactly a simple, straightforward narrative directly from Donald Trump, directly from his team, based on the fact that he is talking about potentially getting rid of income tax. I think he's more in the camp of tariffs are a great way to make revenue, and replacing our other sources of revenue is something he's open to.
No, I'll be honest, he's a shit talker, and he talks a lot of shit. He won't do 3/4 of what he said there, so it doesn't really matter. But I know as a fact that he won't go straight after my AR-15 like Kamala said she was gonna. You know?
Sure, but then his tax plan. So he has two tax plans, I guess. One where he gets rid of income tax, and two where he cuts taxes for the top 5% and raises taxes on 95% of earners. So you might have your AR-15, but you will pay more in taxes. And if some of the tariffs get through, since you said a majority of the tariffs won't go through,
as long as I have
yeah,
my weapon.
that's cool. But that's great. But and you can feel how you want to feel with your AR-15, right? But a lot of Trump voters I know voted because they want prices to go down. If Trump gets tariffs on Canada and Mexico, that'll raise taxes on, or that'll raise prices on gas. Yeah, I don't know your income bracket, but I know 83% of the tax cuts for the top in 2017 tax bill went to the top 1%. I know the bottom two brackets got like $70 for the bottom one, $200 for the second bottom one, and the second bottom one encompassed half of all American workers.
Yeah, but
so my point is, yeah, I know that was his first plan. Well, that was his first plan though, and well, hold on. I'm just explaining to you half of the. Hold on, 1 second. Again, that $200 tax cut, you'll get rid of that in like 2 grocery store visits. And now his current tax plan. Well, now his current tax plan. Now his current tax plan is talking about raising tax on 95% of the people, including the bottom bracket that I mentioned earlier, and the
bottom bracket doesn't pay tax
half of the
they
population.
get a little bit withheld from their check, and then they get thousands back at the end of the year. I mean,
I think a good way to make I think a good way to make those people at the bottom, I guess, pay taxes is by actually raising their incomes, because we know that most of the wealth generated goes to a very small percentage of people. And ultimately, I hear a lot of people that defend billionaires, for example, they say, well, the top 1% pay this much amount of the percentage of the taxes. And that's a fair point, but that's because they have such a large percentage of the wealth. If we're complaining about poor people not paying enough taxes, the best way to get those individuals to pay more taxes is to help them move up the economic ladder. And by doing that, we can have a better tax code and a better social safety net and a better starting line, better economic opportunity.
I don't care about safety nets. I'm actually a libertarian, but
cool.
There is no libertarian candidate that can win. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I make what I make, leave me alone, let me do my own thing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that would be my happiness, you know, but it doesn't work that way. So I got to pick the lesser of two evils, is what I'm saying. And even though I'm mostly libertarian, I'm also pro-life, because I believe the fundamental the first right in the world is the right to life itself. And so I find that abortion being used as like a form of birth control, like it is these days, is just pathetic, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just.
Well, I definitely don't see. If you're a libertarian, I don't see much of libertarianism and those values, those sort of get off my back values, really represented in the Trump coalition or the Republicans. You know, again, the Republicans are the party of the Patriot Act. The Republicans are the party of war. Donald Trump increased drone strikes 435%. He supported genocide in Yemen.
He's not exactly the normal Republican.
Yeah, but aesthetically, you know, rhetorically, but his first term was like George W. Bush. He's going to be the 4th term of George W. Bush with this upcoming term.
I don't believe that.
He increased drone strikes 435%. He bombed Afghanistan, Iraq, Somalia, Syria. He bombed General Soleimani when he was fighting ISIS, being a de facto air force for ISIS in that moment.
I don't know. Would you rather just have like more government that takes care of all of us, or just a little less government?
I want a stronger social safety net. Yes, I want Medicare for all. I want free college. I want expanded social security.
Never free. College is kind of
free at the point of use of service. Just like with K through 12 education, you don't have to pull a credit card every time you enter an elementary school or a high school.
Then we wouldn't have much in common, though. You know.
Yeah. I mean, I would hope that a libertarian would be anti-war.
We made our money outside of college,
you know. Yeah, I mean, I also think trade
Yeah,
schools
well,
should be
he had
free,
no
you
new
know.
wars in his last.
Yeah, but he increased drone strikes 135%. He continued the war in Afghanistan when he said he was going to end it. He supported the Saudis' genocide in Yemen. He was given a bill by Bernie Sanders and Mike Lee and to stop the sale of weapons to Saudi Arabia, to stop our support for a genocide. And he said, fuck that bill, vetoed it. And afterwards, Jared Kushner, his son-in-law, took $2 billion from Saudi Arabia. That's 2/5 of Donald Trump's entire net worth. It's pretty crazy. You know, and of course he's saying with Israel, he's saying that Joe Biden was too soft, or too hard on Israel, rather. And that Israel should finish the job. So that probably means more aid to Israel and more killing of innocents in Israel and Palestine.
Yeah. I won't
So-
argue too hard with you on that point, but there's just
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
issues that I really don't want messed with, that I can see one side, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think I think we
I
kind of
got
got our
different
points
priorities.
across. Yeah, we
I
got
got
different
different
priorities. Yeah. Right. Well,
But yeah, hey, thanks for
fair
being
conversation.
respectful here. I'm getting some calls from some people I need to talk to, but hey, it was nice talking to you.
yes, have a good day, man. Thank you for your time.
Okay, you too. Thank you. Bye.
Yep. Good conversation. All right, let's go ahead and check chat. Pizza Adrenaline in TikTok chat says, "Can you cover privatized K through 12?" Yeah, there's a lot of efforts for that. Hold on, another caller. Hello. What's up? Hello. Hello. You're online.
Oh, yeah, I will. Let me go help Sonny and then I'll come to it, okay?
I'm assuming that was an accident. Right, so can you cover privatize K through 12? Yeah, there's a lot of efforts to privatize our primary education, because there's people that, for example, don't like unions, they don't like teachers, and they don't like, frankly, good education. They don't like poor kids getting an education, or they want to profit, right? They want to use something that many people need, which is a decent education, and make some money off it. It's the same caller from earlier. Hello. Hello. I'm assuming this was an accident. Right, alright, let's check YouTube chat. Trump is one of the greatest presidents in American history. I don't agree with you. Local things. Rachel, something Burning Blow says, Trump's presidency didn't hurt me the last time. Well, Rachel, I'm glad to hear that. Hold on. It's the same guy. Hello.
Hello?
Hello. What's on your mind?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. What's on your mind?
Is this a recording? I can't see you on the live. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. This is live. Chat, can you hear me?
Gotcha.
I
I
see
see
chat.
you now. I just wanted to say thank you for spreading the word and also giving this information out to everyone. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Also, I appreciate you being very neutral.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you being very neutral with every caller and everyone in the comments.
Much appreciated, much appreciated. I can get a little vulgar at times, but, you know, it's YouTube. We get a little fun. But, you know, when someone is respectful, I try to talk respectfully with them.
Of course. Thank you so much. Again, have a great day, and, you know, we're going to all try to hold it together. Hopefully he won't be as terrible during his presidency, but I highly doubt it. But
Yep.
hopefully we all band together and make the best of it.
Of course, of course. And, you know, when he does something bad, we're going to push back on it. You know, we're going to be as real as it gets. And I thank you for enjoying the show. If you want to see more, you can subscribe, too.
Oh, yeah, I already did. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that so much.
Of course. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks.
Folks, there is currently 135 people watching. If you want to support this show, if you're like the last caller and you enjoy what I'm doing here, talking directly to you guys about the issues that matter, you guys can donate. There's a donation link in the bio. You guys can subscribe. The subscribe button is right there. And soon, my friends, we will be monetized. We have hit the quota. We're just waiting for approval. We will have channel memberships. Channel memberships, folks. It's gonna be great. All right, Gavin says people in England pay way more for free Medicare versus Americans with privatized insurance, and their medicine and care is much slow and not as advanced. Gavin, that's not true. Respectfully, we pay more. Americans on average GDP pay per capita more. Hold on 1 second. Hold up, I'm gonna bring you in. I'm just gonna put you on hold for now.
Okay.
Pete's Adrenaline says, congratulations, thank you, Pizza Adrenaline. But, going back to what I was saying, Gavin, we pay more per person in America. We pay more as a nation than any other country in the world. We pay more for medicine, and we have wait lines here. It's just our wait lines are more affected by the size of your wallet rather than the issue at hand, the medical need. All right. 512 area code, you're on.
Yo. Hey, how's it
Yep.
going?
I'm good, brother. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. So so you think the Trump presidency is going to hurt us? Is your perspective?
Yes. I'm just curious. Do you agree or disagree?
It depends on what topic you're talking about. I think in certain aspects, yeah, it's gonna be better, but in other aspects, it could be arguably worse. But
Yeah.
what position do you have?
Yeah. I mean, I think for one of the biggest reasons he won was the economy. People want lower prices, right? I think everybody wants lower prices, whether you voted for Trump, whether you voted for Kamala. That's something everybody wants, and I think Donald Trump is going to make things more expensive for regular people. We already saw he did a tax plan in 2017, which blew up the deficit at the sacrifice. So for the benefit of the top 1%, 83% went to the top 1% of the benefits. His new tax plan wants to raise tax on 95% of Americans while cutting taxes for the top 5% and the top 1%, which of course the top 1% are part of that top 5%. And that's a direct increase in cost to regular people. He wants to do the tariffs, and the tariffs, there was an analysis that looked into it that found it would raise costs $3,000 to $4,000 if he got everything he wanted. Even if he didn't get everything he wanted, if he just got certain nations, that would affect certain industries, and that would make certain products more expensive. You know, if he did it on Canada or Mexico, that's going to make gas more expensive. Gas prices are a big deal for everybody. If he does it for Chinese goods, that's going to make all the cheap products that we enjoy much more expensive. Hold on, I'm going to put someone on hold real quick. I'm going to pull you in after this call. Just wait in the queue for now. But as I was saying, going to increase the products on the cheap goods. Okay, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I've heard the argument about the tariff creating other, causing the, prices of goods to go up. I've heard there's a secondary argument that we're getting ripped off, and this is a way to bring more business back to the U.S., which in the longer term will benefit people
I feel that
in the U.S. overall as a whole. So longer plan, but maybe short term there would be some pain. But I'm curious, what policy did you mention in the beginning what tax cuts and
there was a 2017 tax cut for the rich, which 83% went to the top 1%, and then his proposed tax plan, when it was looked into, was found that it would raise taxes on 95% of the people, cutting taxes for the top 5%. But yeah, the tariffs point you made is interesting. I heard the arguments that tariffs are going to be essentially an incentive to bring back manufacturing into America, and I'm personally someone that really wants to see more manufacturing in America. The thing is this, we can do it without doing tariffs. It's going to make every product more expensive. There was 800,000 new manufacturing jobs. There's record high public and private construction investment into the construction of manufacturing now. Highest we've seen since World War II. Hold up, there's an unknown caller. I'm going to put them on hold real quick. I'm going to put you on hold, but I'll put you in after the person I'm currently talking to. But like I was saying, we've already been seeing manufacturing growth without crippling the economy. I think with Donald Trump... Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. I think you make a lot of good points. None that I can really argue. The reason why he won the presidency, in terms of the economic aspect of things, I think it's just people wanted to change. They weren't happy with
Absolutely.
the administration. Things were obviously not improving. They were getting worse.
Yeah.
I mean, personally, my family was telling me back in 2018 to buy a home. I didn't buy a home, and now I can't even afford a home when I could back then. honestly, you know, like, you know, we could argue, are things going to get better, or are things going to get worse? I feel like economically, there's no difference between the two parties.
Oh no, there's a difference, but I see what I understand what you're saying.
We can get into the details, but we're not really gonna know. And I feel like the precedent that was set with the election is like people were not happy, obviously, the past 4 years economically, and I think that is the number one issue. But where I see that you know, Trump might make a bigger impact is on the global scale with the rising tensions in Ukraine and Russia and the situation in the Middle East. And you're talking to someone whose family is from Gaza, has been affected by the war in Gaza. And, you know, I personally voted for Trump. I think he's going to be a stronger, more effective leader when it comes on the global scale. And I actually don't think he's even going to be fully in the interest of the Palestinian people. But I think there will be a quicker resolution to the conflict as opposed to the Biden
I don't think so.
Who's, you know, they've kind of sat on their hands the whole situation.
I completely and fully condemn Biden. I think Biden's a genocidal maniac. I think he barely has an ideology, but for some reason, one of the few things that he's ideological about is supporting the genocide in Gaza, right? And he has completely stained his legacy.
I don't think Trump is going to be any different. More aggressive, arguably towards Netanyahu and pushing him.
Oh no, I don't think so.
Well, I'll tell you why I think that. I think it's because Trump wants to be liked. Trump wants to be seen as like a problem solver, whereas you didn't know what the Democrat agenda was. What was Joe Biden's agenda? Like, what was he doing? Nothing is happening.
Well, the thing with Biden's agenda was supporting Israel with no breaks. But with Donald Trump, his agenda is also that. He openly argued that, you know, on one day he could be meeting with imams and having them at their rally, or at his rally, saying that he's the peace guy. But then the next day he's saying that Biden is like a Palestinian, a bad Palestinian, because he's too mean to Netanyahu, and he wants Netanyahu to be able to finish the job. And ultimately, you know,
what does that mean? You know what I mean? I think Trump is like, look, this is a feeling. This isn't like a logical argument, but I see him as more of like someone who's gonna actually make something happen as opposed to the status quo. Maybe not everyone's gonna like what's gonna happen, but it's gonna come to a resolution. You know, like. No,
I don't think so. I mean, he has a record we can look at. You know what I'm saying?
We just can't keep the same status. Yeah, his record on Israel and what he did previously was horrible.
Yeah.
You know, I don't support it at all. But he was able to get the support of a lot of Muslim people during the election. He had
I don't doubt that.
Muslim turnout. You know what I mean? But yeah, and I really, even on that topic, I also don't see much of a difference between him and Biden. I think he's going to be. You know, maybe potentially even worse. I just hope it's going to be better. But I mean, also,
I understand the want to vote for change, especially when the situation's bad. I think what's happening in Gaza is a genocide, right? The thing is, I know for sure that he's essentially promised, like, no, I'm going to double down on the genocide. I know his previous record. He pretty much let Sheldon Adelson write his Israel foreign policy, and now Sheldon Adelson is no longer with us. But then Marianne, $100 million,
election, right? Yeah,
and she wants the West Bank annexed.
Cabinet is all Zionist, and like it's not looking good. I just have hope that something's going to happen. It's not logical. I guess the last thing I want to talk to you about is Russia-Ukraine. What's your perspective there?
Yeah, I think Ukraine's fighting a defensive war, and I do think that of all the conflicts in the world, that America could be justified in like siding, or our quote-unquote side that we're supporting, that's the most justified because they're fighting a defensive war. And I personally didn't mind money going to them. The money that we had sent to them is a fraction of our military budget. And I don't actually know what Donald Trump's going to do with it. You know, there's a narrative that Donald Trump loves Russia, which I do think he likes Putin. I think he just likes strong men in general. But because he has so much neocons in his cabinet, they're not exactly the type of people that would just like Russia. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's kind of up in the air what's going to happen. Donald Trump's going to try to propose his peace plan, which would essentially just be Russia get to keep the territory. Excuse me. I was distracted by something. Russia gets to keep the territory that it's currently holding. I don't know if that same logic would apply for the territory Ukraine is holding inside Russia. I'm not sure. I don't know if Ukraine's gonna agree to it. I don't know if Russia would agree to it. So it's a weird situation that I'm not sure what's gonna occur.
But you're saying you think we should continue to support Ukraine, continue to give them money, and prolong the war, regardless if they're going to win the war or not? Because this is a defensive battle. That is your position?
Yeah, I don't mind them defending themselves. In the same way, like, for example, if we had armed Gaza against an Israeli invasion, I would think that that's morally justified.
Okay, so what I've seen, and I spend a lot of time. There's some really good guys out there that I listen to pretty frequently, like Daniel Davis. He talks about the actual logistics of the war and what's happening in the war.
Mm-hmm.
Ukraine is not able, so without the U.S. and the money that we give them, they're not able to win the war. Even with the money that we give them, they're not winning the war. And on the opposite, they're actually losing more ground. They're losing more people. The way that I see it, and from military experts that I listen to, and I'm happy to share some of those with you, they're not making progress. They're not, how long does it go on and how many people continue to die? I agree, Putin should not have invaded, but there's another side where he was afraid of NATO expansion and they threatened him with NATO expansion, and that doesn't justify what he did, but a perspective, you get what I'm saying? Where
I've heard that perspective quite a bit. Yeah.
He felt threatened, and he did what he did. And at this point, I think it's pretty clear, no matter how many weapons we give to Ukraine, they're not going to get their land back. And all we're doing at this point is instigating Putin to potentially use nuclear weapons, which I think we all don't want, right?
Yeah, of course. We don't want that, but I think this is the thing, though, right? I've heard those perspectives before. I've heard, maybe Putin was threatened by NATO. I don't think that that's really the case. I think he wanted to expand either way. Of course, as we know, Ukraine's not part of NATO, but he still did the invasion. If he wanted to make an argument against NATO, the main argument is to say that NATO is obsolete. It's not the Cold War anymore. It's kind of silly. But then Putin's actions kind of just justified NATO's existence because he actually did invade his neighbor.
How far are we willing, if the military assistance that we're giving Ukraine and the money that we're taking away from American citizens to defend Ukraine is not helping them win the war or even put them in a position to win the war?
Well, I mean, I think the thing we gotta look at history a little bit, right? Winning the war, not winning the war, losing the war. What exactly does that mean? The U.S. invaded Afghanistan. We beat the Taliban. We were running the country for the longest time, but we got tired of occupying, and eventually we left. And then,
Taliban?
well, no, we did. I understand. No, my point is, brother. Hold on. My point is, brother. I'm not saying the Afghanistan war was good. I'm saying that we can occupy a country for 20 years, and then the moment we get tired of it, we leave, and then the Taliban rushes in and topples our paper government. Okay, the point is this also. Russia, another superpower, also tried to invade Afghanistan. They lost.
Okay, so what's the point that you're making?
So when we say definitive statements like Ukraine can't win, there's no winning for Ukraine. Well, what is victory to them? Is victory, I don't know, eventually, victory could be, say, Russia gets tired of the conflict because it's also draining on them and they stop. It's very possible.
Okay,
then you can say Ukraine wins. In the case of Afghanistan, they dealt with two superpowers, and both superpowers got tired of fighting, left, and then the opponents of those two superpowers, which were just lightly armed infantry, militias, they won.
Where is this?
Afghanistan, both against the Soviet Union in the 80s and America in the 21st century.
You're using Afghanistan as an example. We tried to go into Afghanistan, make it better. Well, I think everybody saw the catastrophe of us leaving Afghanistan, and the fact that the Taliban is back in power. So that was completely useless.
No, wait, that's my point. I'm not for any of those Middle Eastern wars. The point is, we occupied it for 20 years. We ran the country for 20 years. We got tired. We left, and the opposition that facing us won. The point is, just because you're a bigger power, just because you have more guns, just because you have the ability to occupy, doesn't guarantee your victory, right? If, say, Ukraine, let's say we pull out of Ukraine completely, and they just become light insurgency, there's still the possibility. Hold on, 1 second. TikTok Live is acting up. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, TikTok Live was acting up there.
You're good.
The point is, if Ukraine turned into a light insurgency, they can still have the capability of winning.
I think
Go ahead.
what you said it actually proves my point, is the fact that we try to involve ourselves in a conflict that has nothing to do with it. Like, it has nothing to do with the United States in an immediate perspective, like getting involved in Afghanistan. That we ended up shitting the bed in that, and excuse my language.
Yeah, no problem.
Going to Ukraine, we're doing the same thing. They're not winning. They're losing more land.
I think it's very different situations.
There was an opportunity for them to have a peace treaty in Istanbul. I forgot what. I think it was in.
I've heard that story. They say that like Boris Johnson came in there and pretty much stopped it.
Like,
the thing is, if Ukraine was genuinely committed to that plan that was proposed, they would have signed it. Okay, but they weren't, and I'm sure the U.S. has influence, but at the end of the day, the final say is between Russia and Ukraine. Right? And they didn't sign that peace deal, so that peace deal is kind of irrelevant to the conversation. But again, my point is looking at history, looking at a country like Afghanistan, who faced two superpowers. It was light infantry, militias versus two superpowers. The odds were against them. They even got occupied for 20 years with the U.S., and I'm sure there was occupation by the Soviet Union as well. They still won. So when we say there's no way Ukraine can win, when they have some of the best weapons in the world, I don't know if that's the case, because they are not just light infantry. Yeah.
If the U.S. stopped giving them money, and maybe in the span of 2 weeks,
say if they stopped giving them money, I think crush is a bit of a exaggeration.
Militarily, they will immediately lose, right? We're not like
no. I disagree with that. Again, this is my thing, right? Even if they lost all U.S. aid or whatever, but then they ended up being just a light infantry militia, like the Mujahideen, like the Taliban, they could still win. It's not a definitive thing that they can't win, because the Mujahideen and the Taliban did win. That's what history shows us.
Yeah, but you're trying to use that as an example. This is an entirely different situation. This is right on the border of Russia.
I'm literally saying worst case scenario for Ukraine, and Afghanistan was on the border of Russia in the 80s. It was the Soviet Union, so it still had all of Central Asia, and they still couldn't beat the Mujahideen, even if they were just like a bunch of guys in like fucking pickup trucks with guns.
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And I see the example that you're given. I just don't think it's a good example, and it relates to this situation. It's an entirely different situation. But yeah, I mean,
that's a fair perspective.
Sure.
Yeah, it was a good conversation, man. I hope that if you have family in Gaza, that they're safe and they can get out of there, honestly. And I wish you the best.
I did. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. We were able to get a lot of the family out. Just hopefully can get resolved quickly for the rest of the people there.
That's great, brother. That's great. That's great. God willing. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your time. You too.
Yeah, you too. Bye.
What a nice conversation. You see, guys, you can end a conversation with disagreement with positivity, with politeness. That's the way to do it. But folks, not much people are watching on TikTok, but there's still people watching on YouTube. So I'm going to end the TikTok stream for now. Where the heck is the TikTok streaming thing? Hold on. TikTok's being a little confusing. TikTok Live Studio? Uh-oh, don't do that. Don't do that. There you go. Alright, I'm going to end the TikTok stream. See you guys later on TikTok. Good stream on TikTok. Got that. 2 followers. I guarantee you the YouTube numbers are better. Well, the YouTube numbers are better. There's been 11,000 views on this one. Alright. Chat, I didn't really interact with you much, but we got a good amount of calls. It's been about an hour. And, since we reached the watch hours, we don't really need to go on for the most longest streams ever. And our peak was a bit earlier, so we can probably move on for now. I guess I'll read chat a little bit. Eric says you're going to answer. I don't know why you say that like I read your previous message. ABC says, have a good night. Thanks for the neutral conversation. Thank you, ABC. Appreciate you. Local Thing says, so Troy, if Trump wins, we are going to have another Dust Bowl over farming. I don't know exactly the conversation there. Troy says, no worries, my guy. I'm not too worried about the opinions of someone who has a vote, who votes against their best interest. Obviously, the education level of this country is reflective on your basic lack of knowledge. Host for Harris says, both sides are simply wrong. For the simple fact, we try to justify one before the other is crazy and unpatriotic on all levels. I think, Host for Harris, you've been spamming that message. I criticize both sides all the time. Mr. Nealman says, can you see my message? I didn't scroll up yet. 301 Kilometer says, if you were given the power to change something in the U.S., what would you change? I think if I had, could snap my finger and do something, because I feel like this issue affects pretty much every issue, I want the big money out of politics right away. You get the big money out of politics, that would change everything. That would change the dynamic for everything, because then you would truly have a battle of ideas rather than a battle of wallets. You get what I'm saying? So, yeah. Alright, let me scroll up a bit. See the message. $2 billion. Yeah, we import goods and services because it's cheaper. Troy, do you think it's sustainable? Then she mishandled her campaign money. Paul is out here talking about Kamala Harris when Kamala Harris is not going to be president. Local Thing says, nailed it. Tariffs bring back business to America, which will increase wages. Well, we can increase manufacturing without doing tariffs that are going to make everything more expensive. We have been doing that, and again, it's the counter narrative. Some Trump supporters say that the tariffs are a negotiation tool and they're temporary. Some Trump supporters say that tariffs are actually goated and they're going to bring back America and we're going to be so strong, we're going to be so rich. It's a contradicting message, but nonetheless, the message of MAGA. Alright, let me scroll down a little bit. Local there, Bernard was Slava, Ukraine. Mr. Nealman says Slava, Ukraine. Yes, sir. Local Thing says Ukraine and Israel are not our problem. Oh boy. Bernie Will says Ukraine war is not our problem. Well, actually, it is a problem. If Russia, say, invades Ukraine, they have access to, they're bordering, Poland, and then they invade Poland because Poland is a NATO ally and we are legally required to assist them. That would be a problem for us. Troy says, I'm not talking about my food, guys. I'm talking about metals, trees, water, air. Do you not remember the Dust Bowl? We can get all out of America. Dust Bowl. What do you think? We can produce metals. Blah 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 blah. BRICS also had planned to dismantle. BRICS has planned to dismantle the G7 and allies. Oh. Okay, maybe the chance of them winning is maybe 5% chance. Eric says, hello, my guy. You are my guy. This is a very pleasant conversation. Wow, a lot of people left, bro. Eric says you're going to answer. I'm assuming, Eric, you were referring to... Okay, the chance of them winning is 5%. Is that the thing you sent? Because I didn't see a previous message you sent, Eric. Let's see. Robin says, so curious why it's titled Trump's Presidency Will Hurt You. Is this MSNBC? Yeah, MSNBC, give me a show. Better than that fucking prick Joe from Morning Joe. Alright, 301 Kilometer says, if money didn't exist, then the power would be measured in intelligence. Who would you think would be the most powerful people in the world? Sorry, my... Oh, well, 301 Kilometers, I didn't say get rid of money. I meant get rid of, the money in politics. Like the big campaign contributors. I would say then you could have campaigns that are actually run on better ideas and a battle of ideas rather than a battle of wallets. Troy says India or China. I don't know exactly what you're asking there. But you're right, business, especially in America. Local Thing says, Troy, it took decades to offshore American jobs. Do you think a single man could bring them back in one term with the entire establishment against him? Get real, bro. Donald Trump had no intention to bring back jobs. Don't be a fucking idiot. Local Things. Just being honest here. The trade deficit increased under Donald Trump. Outsourcing still remained. 200,000 manufacturing jobs were gone under Donald Trump. 800,000 manufacturing jobs were onshored because of Joe Biden. We saw the CHIPS Act, which is to compete against chip manufacturing in other countries and bring chip manufacturing back to America. We saw targeted tariffs under Joe Biden, which actually served the purpose of keeping foreign goods, say like Chinese electric vehicles, out of the market. So Donald Trump is not going to bring your jobs back. Donald Trump's tax plans actually incentivize things like offshoring. It was under neoliberal economics that we started offshoring. It was under Keynesianism, New Deal politics that we saw onshoring and massive manufacturing and so on and so forth. Troy says, did Trump's tariffs bring the manufacturing jobs back, or are all those small towns still desolate? Yeah, they didn't bring the manufacturing jobs back. 200,000 manufacturing jobs lost under Donald Trump. 800,000 manufacturing jobs gained under Joe Biden. That's a fact. Troy said earlier, when Trump imposed tariffs during his first term, was everything more expensive? Donald Trump's tariffs in his first term were not across-the-board tariffs. They were specific tariffs on targeted tariffs on specific goods. Right, they're more similar to Joe Biden's current tariffs, and ultimately, the trade deficit under Donald Trump went up. Meanwhile, the trade deficit under Joe Biden did go down. This person, Mr. Nealman, says, so the trade war begins. It seems like it does. It seems like it is. The situation with Canada, Mexico, and China particularly is at least at the forefront. I don't know if Mexico is going to be getting the tariffs on them. They said if there are tariffs put on them, they will respond in kind. China will do as well, and I'm sure Canada will as well. Trump talked to the president of Mexico, and then he said he took a victory lap. He said Mexico agreed with everything I said. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum then said, I don't agree with that summarization of the call. So I don't know exactly what's going on with Mexico and the U.S. The tariffs are still probably on the way. Local Thing says, what corny publications are you getting your stats from? I don't know, the fucking Department of Labor? Bureau of Labor? That just have job statistics? Eric says, what are you talking about? COVID jobs lost? Okay, but when they came back, we gave them to Biden. Yeah, I mean, that's what happens when the president has a recession. Manufacturing jobs stagnated and then declined before COVID, and then under COVID, they spiked down, and then, yes, Biden oversaw the recovery of the manufacturing industry, and then more jobs created after the bounce-back jobs. So that's a good thing. 301 Kilometer says, I'm going to sleep my guy. I don't really know much about politics in my country, so I think you understand. I don't quite get it, but I like your live streams. Thank you, 301 Kilometers. I appreciate you. Troy says, no worries, local government. We know you love your alternative facts. Tao says, the government. Tao. Eric says, sure. And with that, my friends, I am caught up. So make sure you subscribe, like, donate in the link in the bio. Tao, do you just not trust basic data collection about economics from the government? Because these are the same data collection folks that were under Trump and under Obama and under Bush and under all Democrats and Republicans. It's just data collection. If you look at jobs numbers, if you look at manufacturing investment, it's just data. You don't have to get triggered by it. Facts are facts. They don't care about your feelings. Alright, with that, folks, I'm off. Have a good day.